Welcome to the Theatre of the Mind, live 179, Tuesday evening, 7:30. I know it's unusual, but I do believe that you will agree that there's enough going on at the moment for us to talk about lots of different things. So, a couple of parish notes. We'll get into your comments in a moment. Tonight, I'll talk about the sermon. We're going to talk about reform. We'll have another update for the Liverpool situation. We'll talk about Sky News, 70 million in debt, bless them. And the Royals, got something very interesting about the Royals, some Royals, and their titles. So we'll talk about that and reform. But we have to just dance around a little tonight. There may be a little code, you know what I'm like. And welcome to the Theatre of the Mind, live 179. I want to say thank you to Stuart. He says, evening, Rev. Sister Mary says it smells quite nice in here this evening. Did the Rev get a new scented candle? I just said yes. I left out the part where I tell her it's a Battenberg body burp. Neil Cunningham says, evening all. I went to Anfield today and placed a scarf at the Cop end on behalf of everyone in the body of the Kirk. Neil, that is a beautiful gesture. Thank you very much. And I'm sure a lot of the other parishioners will say thank you to you as well. That's beautiful. Thank you for the email. I did get it. I just haven't had time. Lots of correspondence came in last night and this morning, but I am intending on spending a couple of hours tomorrow morning bashing one out. So thank you, Neil. Thank you for the email, and thank you for going to Anfield today. Please tell us in the comment what the atmosphere was like at Anfield today. I mean, there's still information coming out, which I will get to in just a moment. I just want to acknowledge a few people getting their feet under in the pews. And don't forget, make sure you brought Battenberg with you this evening, because it may, well, if the sermon is going to be a couple of hours long, because you know me, length has never been a problem. If it's going to be a couple of hours long, then you need some sustenance to soak up the altar wine before you get into that. Yeah, wrong. So thank you, Neil. Thank you for that beautiful gesture. Paulie Galtieri, good evening, Adrian. Yeah, utter wrong. Paulie, takes one to know one. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, as always, Paulie. To Karen, to Neil Cunningham, such a kind and thoughtful thing to do. Bless your heart. Thank you, Karen. See, told you, Neil. Les Griffiths, the driver is from West Derby in Liverpool and was off his nut on drugs. His name is prevented from being made public. Les, I'm going to explain what we can and can't do, because we have to allow the process of law to take place. Although there are questions to be asked, not necessarily about the case per se, but in sort of wider context. If you don't mind, we'll navigate our way through that. But as I say, I'm not in the game of putting things, obstacles in place. What's that? Okay. I will support the process of law. It's called subjudice, but I will explain that in just a little while. Paul Morton, evening one and all. Evening, Rev. Sad times call for strong hearts. You can say that again, Paul. Welcome to the body of the Kirk, of course. Les Griffiths said in reply to Paul's strong hearts and even stronger resolve. I agree with you, Les. There is, how can I say this delicately? We'll get into it. We'll explain it all. Don't worry. Des Ashton says, "Oh, hello, good evening, and welcome to the body of the Kirk." Oh, lols, dear baby. I was just talking about Telly Savalas and that the other day, because you know, they sucking on the lollipop like Kojak. He did that because he was a smoker and couldn't smoke when he was acting. And I heard the rumour that he used to have his lines. He didn't like learning lines, so he just had his lines put up on boards around where he was shooting the scene. So was sucking on a big lolly whilst going, "Oh, lovely baby." I mean, Kojak at one point was the most famous man on planet Earth. So welcome, Des. Welcome to the body of the Kirk. Neil says, Rev, is it time to change the definition of terrorism? Ooh, Define it as the intent to cause injury or harm to a group of innocent people regardless of political ideology. Ooh. Well, legal speak, double speak, legal speak, whichever, they're exactly the same. The legal speak tends to be a bit woolly. It tends to be a bit grey. Why? Because they can make more money that way. It's not black and white. It's not definitive. There's the law. There's the response in law. It's not like that at all. Because, oh, bless them. You've never seen an impoverished barrister, have you? Ever. Or lawyers. I mean, lawyers, bloody hell, they don't even like each other. They marry each other. I think it's just to get divorced. Neil says, the car travelled from Dale Street to Water Street. That's quite a distance considering roads were supposed to be cordoned off. I am going to get straight into that in response to what's been happening today, and I will explain, because seemingly it's come out. Not out, just out, via the local council and police. But let me tell you, there will have been a lot of arse covering going on today. Yes, at the local council and Merseyside Police. Why would that be, Adrian? I shall explain in just a moment. The All Bovril Evening All, Battenberg cake available by the font. Oh, I say, it's very generous, the All Bovril. Sister Mary has made her own chocolate-coated variety topped with cherries. Are you sure that's chocolate, the All Bovril, considering the purpose of said Battenberg? Tom Harley says, evening all. As a wrong and philosopher once said, I see a Battenberg rising, I see trouble on the way. You can say that again, Tom Harley's. Neil Cunningham says, Christ, that's all we need in Liverpool right now. Yvette Cooper, for fuck's sake. Technical term. Neil wrote it, not me. And Andrew James says, Neil Cunningham, respect to you. Yeah, we are going to talk about Yvette Cooper, the next Prime Minister. Oh, hang on. You didn't see me lips move. And Les Griffiths says, did anyone else think the ACC, that's Assistant Chief Constable, was passive-aggressive with her tone whilst reading out her carefully scripted bullshit? Yeah, I'm with you, Les. I'm with you. But, when you get to that level in plod, you're not... the thin blue line is even thinner because the ones at the top don't do any bloody work, man. They just sit around, desk jockeys. Work, my hairy backside. Merseyside Police are still not revered. They're not... people of Southport were not best pleased with them. So, yes, we will... yes, I agree completely. Her constituents know all about her, including me, as I used to be one. Oh, I say, Les, is one coming out? I'm sure you were a constituent, and well, I'm sure Yvette Cooper, she's married to Ed Balls. I mean, what more punishment does a woman need? Just in my view, I'm allowed my view. Neil Cunningham says, here, Les, the ACC, Jenny Sims, has always been like that. They should have got Emily Spurrell, the PCC to read it. She has a better tone. There's a gag there. There is definitely a gag there. Jackie says, hi all. Hello, Jackie. Welcome to the Body of the Cook. Soul Rebel says, the police surrounding the car looked very young and inexperienced. I did... You have to understand that in real time, even though they have radios and earpieces, in real time, there will have been Gold Command, Silver Command, and Bronze Command. And Gold Command would have been issuing orders in real time because they would have had cameras everywhere. They would have had spotters everywhere. If there was hundreds of thousands of people on the street, Gold Command would have been monitoring all the cameras and would have said and got them, because the police, Merseyside police force, will have been well versed in crowd control. And you'll notice that when the car stopped, there was a surge of police officers that went towards it. So I will commend Merseyside police for being reacting quickly, but there were thousands of police officers on the streets, thousands. So they had enough to... it's an age thing, I think, Soul Rebel. As you grow up, you kind of go, oh, blimey, is it me, or do police officers get younger all the time? There was a time where I was looking at police officers going, No, no, they look pretty old to me. And then 20 years later, it's, oh, shit, I've turned into me dad. Yeah, they're looking young. Um, Stuart, you're wrong. I see you. Why did the police ask social media people not to post video footage? I see you. Do you want me to tell you? It's about control. But we are going to talk about it. I'm just acknowledging everyone that's entering the body of the Kirk with free Battenberg and free altar wine. There might be a Jaeger bomb or three if you play your cards right, because I'm not sure I'm going to drink it all this evening. So I'll, friends, share alike. I was brilliant. Way I-50. Who said that? Hang on, I was going to take a slurp there. Who said that? Les Griffith says, I loved Hawaii 5 It wasn't Hawaii 5 it was Kojak, man, Les. Not so keen on the Geordie version, though. YI 5 It could be the Mackham version. The Ginger Mackham version. YI, man. YI. Or if I haven't already, I can't remember whether I've told you this about teaching the current Mrs. Allen a little Mackham. So she's going to make. You'll know what it's like meeting your partner's parents for the first time. Now, my parents are not around anymore, so this was a few years ago. And I said to the new Mrs. Allen, I said, look, if you're going to, marry into this family, you've got to be able to speak Northeastern. You've got to be able to speak Mackham, not Geordie, Mackham, and not Smoggy, Mackham. And she said, "Oh, okay, darling. Are you going to teach me?" "Oh, aye, I will. Aye." So, I means yes, and it's spelled AYE. I means yes. Oh, yes, I can do that. Yes, yes, I can do that. And I said, there are many other words, but there is a phrase that we use as a greeting in the northeast of England. And, well, anyone from the northeast of England, whether it's Geordie, Mackham or Smoggy, we would all embrace you if you came into the northeast and said a certain something. And she said, "Oh, what's that, darling?" Des Ashton, "It's not the fog on the Tyne, it's all mine, as it drifts across the weir." Yeah, wrong. I said, well, there is this term and it's quite difficult to pronounce. So I will teach you it in parts and then you'll string it all together. She said, "All right, darling, what is it?" I said, "Just repeat after me. Had, away, flattening the second A, away, 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 yes, had, away, is that a word? Yes, it is, darling. It's all going to go together. Don't you worry. Don't panic. Had, away, had, why, shite. Is that a word? Yes. It's all one word, Shite. I've got to say that. Yes. It's a greeting of warmth to somebody else from the northeast of England. So you're going to meet my parents. You're going to have to, greet them, shake hands, or kiss them, or do whatever you're going to do, and then just regurgitate this. So it's had, away, shite, man. Right. So if you put them all together, what do you get? Had, away, shite, man. So I said, wonderful. You just have to practice this. It's a couple of weeks away. Just practice. And then when we get there, you can say to my mum, you can say, "Mrs. Allen, Adrian's been teaching me how to speak Mackham." And sure enough, we get there on the day. She's nervous. I'm nervous. My parents didn't care less. And we get there and so we just, kettles on, tea's being brewed, the usual malarkey would... have you got any biscuits, mother? We've got some Jaffa cakes. They're cakes, mother, not biscuits. Have you got any Battenberg, perchance? Oh, no, that's rather posh, Adrian. So we're sitting and we're just, introducing things. And the new Mrs. Allen said, "Oh, Isabella, my mum's name. Adrian's been teaching me some Macam." And my mother looks at me thinking, that wind-up merchant, what's he been doing? My dad's giggling in his chair, looking at me, looking at my mother, and my mother's got her beady eye going, "Go on, Adrian, what have you been teaching her?" I said, "I'm not going to tell you what I've been teaching her. She's going to say it for herself. She's a grown woman, man." So the new Mrs. Allen said, "So can I say what he's been teaching me?" And my mother goes, "Go on then." And she goes, "Well, I know that I means yes." And I could see a visible sense of relief come across my mum's face. And she said, "I means yes. And I know it's the river Wear. And I know it's Macam because you mac and tack things." My mum's thinking, has he just been straight up and down with her with this? That's unlike him. He's a wind-up merchant. And then the new Mrs. Allen said, "But there's a special greeting. I know there's a special greeting if you meet a fellow Macam. And, if you call a fellow Macam a Macam, they're really, really happy that you call them a Macam." And my mum says, "That is true. That's true. So what's this phrase he's been teaching you?" And she said, "Well, it's one of these phrases, seemingly, that you greet another Macam with every time you see them." And my mother goes, "Go on. As Dumbo says, I'm all ears." And the new Mrs. Allen says, "How do we end shite, man?" My mother nearly expires from coughing. My dad spits his false teeth across the room. And my mother goes, No, you can't say that. You can't, no, not in polite circles. No, you can't say that. N says, "Whose mother answered shit with sugar on when you asked them what's for tea?" Yeah, hands up, mine. And the phrase can be then turned around if somebody says, "How hungry are you?" And you say, "I could eat shite with sugar on." I do understand that people have been trying to say, "How do we end shite, man?" Obviously, it broke the ice. My mother knew something was up. She knew something was coming because I'm not always one to play straight bat, so to speak. So it took me months. To have the new Mrs. Allen appreciate my humour. Ray Norton, always said that to me. Jackie Glasgow says, "Tommy Robinson appeared on YouTube today. Thought he'd turned Muslim for a minute, sporting a beard. Really looked different." Well, yes, we're going to mention Tommy. Tommy's out. Not out, just out. We're going to mention Tommy in just a little while. Angelic Inspiration says, "I know I was shocked when I saw Tommy. He looked better with his new haircut and beard shaved." Of course. Now, you do know that in the movies, the good guy is always clean shaven and the bad guy always has a beard. It's Hollywood for the last 70 or 80 years, at least, since the silent movies, that Hollywood always says that the good guy, the hero, always is clean shaven. And the bad guy always has a beard. Bit like some royals. You are going to have to work at that gag because some of them have got beards, genuine Bristol beards on the end of their chins. But you know what a beard is in Hollywood, don't you? You must do, watching this channel regularly. Beata says, "Oh, not that I mind. I quite like them." I mean, I'll mention it in a second once we get into the sermon of the evening. I see you, says Jackie. He did a shirt getting it all shaved off. Is that a technical term? Amalia says, "Welcome to the body of the Kirk this evening, Amalia. So good you could make it on time, considering it's a Tuesday evening and a 7:30 start." Ray Norton. How hungry are you? I could eat a scabby horse. Correct. Les Griffiths says, "If Tommy has any sense, he will go abroad for a while." Well, his family are abroad, so he's going to go and see them. But I do have a take on what I saw today. Beata says, "Don't be fooled by Tommy. It's a bit of an act. You don't have to come out looking like Robinson Crusoe. You're allowed a haircut and a shave in prison. Depends who's doing it and what with." Ever heard of Sweeney Todd? He looked like Tom Hanks from Castaway. Ooh, Chris, don't say that, man. We've all heard about Tom Hanks. Andrew James at Angelic Inspirations. There is not much to do in the Nick apart from grow a beard. Slowly. So we'll get into things. I have two sets of notes. I have the one from last night that has some really important information in it, but today I've told you about flooding the zone. That's what the Donald has done in America for his first 100 days. He's flooded the zone. There was so much news, nobody could keep up. And the Labour Party and all the government and all the uncivil servants have realised that flooding the zone means that nobody keeps up with it. And the news cycle, which used to be about a week and then slowed down to 2 or 3 days, and then it became 24 hours. Now it's barely 5 minutes. Oh, I say. Charles Bronson's got a bigger beard and been on more roofs. Des Ashton says, Rev, you is as subtle as a cow's leg and a bowl of celery. Love myself some celery. You know what celery does for a man, don't you? Jackie Glasgow, I'm munching some cabanossi. Cabanossi? How are you, Jackie, man? What's cabanossi? What's that? Bet it's a salad of some kind. Angelic Inspirations got the gag. She says, at Andrew James, I would be worried about a cutthroat razor, safer to grow a beard. That's what Sweeney Todd did, man. He had a barber's in London somewhere, and people used to go in for a haircut and he'd slit their throat and then chop them up, mince them up, put them in pork pies. Not Melton Mowbray pork pies, but still pork pies that had a very distinct taste, I would hazard a guess. Oh, I say, Polish pepperonis. Jackie Glasgow. Soul Rebel, I wonder if any Turkish barbers inside. Oh, at least half dozen. At least. I mean, genuine Turkish barbers. I mean, if there's 20 on every high street, wouldn't that be funny? Neil Cunningham says 5 minutes is about all Sky News have left. Do you want me to tell you what I heard today? Sky News is about 70 million in debt. It's proper in debt. So it might not be going anywhere. Sky News. It might be. I think it was sold off at one point, and there's what's her face, the nasty one, the evil one, Blowjob Burley. I've no idea why I said that. I've no idea. So Blowjob Burley is she disappeared after breaking the COVID rules, didn't she? So don't know where she's gone, but she's not on Sky News anymore. And as I've said to you before, Sky News used to be a little right wing. It used to be where GB News is now-ish, kind of. And it used to be, they had the epithet of never wrong for long. Look, they were always first with stuff. They would get it out. And if it was wrong, oh, sorry, lads. Well, do you know, it's just a news cycle. It's just a tiny, weeny little mistake, man. Sky. Never wrong for long. Neil Cunningham, I saw Dan Wootton laughing his socks off about Sky News. I know, shit's hit the fan today. They haven't got the cash. And, nobody's watching it because they kind of were right-wingish. They were right-wing light. And then they've gone kind of sitting over there by the BBC. They've gone a bit woke. And you look at Sky News thinking, Jesus, how shite are you? I'll go to GB News. I'll even go to the BBC. And it's just, personal preference. It's only when I'm on here and I want different news sources to see if they corroborate, if they're both being given the same message to broadcast. I wonder by whom. There's new radio stations starting up, definitely some in Scotland that I was made aware of. Beata says GB News is in bother too. Really? That was me thinking that some... Oh, don't say that, Adrian. Oh, nearly let that cat out of the bag. Oh, you didn't see me lips move, you wrong. No, I can't tell you what I was going to say. I can't even tell you what the subject is, and I can't tell you, even in a subtle way or with code, because it would have me in the brown stuff, and I definitely would have to eat a lot of Battenberg just to. Tom Harley says nobody watches Sky News anymore. It's all the shite. I think we get that. Dan Wotton is obsessed with the Markles. Oh, Les, don't worry. I've got some hot off the press about. Well, I mean, my take on the Harkles is one of them's a very good sailor, likes a trip on a yacht, and I think Andy, that's Uncle Andrew, might have what can I say? He's in the Navy. He was a chopper pilot. He can handle a chopper, so I'm told. I think, what can I say? How can I verse it? Uncle Andrew might have been first at the races, from what I'm hearing. Skills, though. Skills. Proper skills. That's why King Billy says, no. Don't be upstairs for thinking, downstairs for dancing. Not upstairs for dancing and downstairs for thinking. No, Harold, man. Don't be thinking with your dick. Don't call me Richard, you wrong 'un. So what's Patrick Christie in bother about? They're always in bother, man. It's always they're trying to flatten it to get it gone. So they've only got the national broadcaster. Oh, it's the BBC, the only news channel in this country, really. That's what they're after, because then they'll just fill you full of shite and blipverts and stuff that propaganda. You know what I'm talking about. Adrian, talking about local radio, the old Radio City would have had a phone in about the events of yesterday. Instead, we got Mike Toolan talking shite instead. Oh, you've been Toolanized. Mike Toolan, old work colleague of mine. Blimey, that was a long time ago, 30 years ago. When he arrived over from Leeds, I think it was, at Rock FM. Yeah, nice guy, Mike. Genuinely nice guy. Went on to make a shit ton of money at Key 103. So, Mike will have been told, here, Mike, pop and prattle, just go and play this. Was he in the evening or was he during the day? I don't know where Mike is on. Is it Greatest Hits now, nationally? Don't know. But Neil, give us a steer. I don't know where Mike is on daytime or these evenings or daytime but he's made a nice bit of buns. Galactus, the only thing I watch on the BBC is the new Gladiators when I do a workout on my exercise bike. Oh, I say, Galactus in Lycra? Oof, you'll get the neighbours with their binoculars at your windows. The old Bovril, Dan Wotton had the hots on supporting Rupert Lowe, but this support appears to be subsiding now. 10 till 1 on Hits Radio. Well, just, take the money and run. If you do speak to him, send him. He'll laugh. Just send him my regards. Stephen Peddy was a wrestler, I believe. Stephen Peddy. Who said Stephen Peddy? Christie is letting his ego run riot, and he is allegedly backstabbing colleagues. Oh, Les, what a bit of gossip coming out of the smoke. So let's do Liverpool today. We'll get it out of the way. The elephant in the room, because I want to talk Farage. Did anybody see his speech earlier? Am I the only one to look at Farage's speech going, Jesus, Nigel, man, who painted that background? It looks like some 70s whorehouse. Not that I would know what a 70s whorehouse looks like, but, that colour, it's not ingratiating, is it? And why they've got loads of money. All the subscription, all the millions in subscriptions. Why haven't they got somebody going? Oh, Nige, yes, Nige. My name's Adrian, and I'm a designer. You can't have that colour as a background. It'll make people want to heave while they're watching you. So can we have something a little bit more Tory light than, please, Nige? Honestly. Andy B's in the house. Watch out, everybody. Evening, Andy. The old Bovril. Yes, I watched Farage. Did you throw up as well? The old Bovril. I mean, it would have been nice if it was green, like green, or a bit of yellow, or red, or green. It was that bloody blue. Marley says was watching it earlier, but only for about 10 minutes. Was listening, not watching. Des Ashton, a tart's boudoir. That's much more fitting. Andrew James, Galactus. As long as you don't Richard Simmons. What's that? Crash. So I was going to talk about young Nigel, but let me talk about Liverpool. Now I have to couch this with sub judice. I know you're probably sick and tired of me saying this. It's Latin for under a or the judge. And basically, everyone is innocent until proven guilty. And what sub judice does is it puts a mark in the sand, a metaphorical mark in the sand, which says you can't step over that for all the journalists, the news media, whether it's telly, radio, newspapers, YouTube. Oh, thank you, Neil. I really appreciate the support. Thank you. But sub judice is really important, because if you start talking about stuff, say a trial of sorts, and I think somebody did this around Harold Shipman before he committed suicide, and no, it wasn't Shipman. It was another very high-profile case, and the judge was sitting. The trial had been going about a week, and somebody on Rock FM had gone, yeah, well, of course they're as guilty as sin. So the judge got word of this. So the judge rang the radio station and said, could your radio presenter kindly avail themselves and attend court, please, in the morning, 10 a.m. Thank you very much. It's not a request. I'm telling you, they need to be in front of me at 10 a.m. in the morning before the actual day started. And they were told, you are a cat's whisker away from going to jail. You and contempt of court. So that's what sub judice is. It's just a marker for the media, and it just tells you that beyond this point, you cannot go any further. You can talk about things in a wider sense, but not specifically about that case and or the particular trial. And most news media will have that line in the sand from the moment that someone is arrested. Technically, it becomes sub judice if they are charged with something. Now, I'm going to talk in a wider sense about things because I'm just a little confused. I'm not the brightest button on the blazer, to use a hackneyed old phrase, but I'm confused. And I'll tell you why I'm confused. Because the news media says 53-year-old white British man arrested at scene. Okay. And then today, man arrested on attempt murder, drug driving, and dangerous driving. But the news media, all of them, have not said same man has been arrested on the following, in addition to what he was arrested for yesterday. And the reason why I mention that is because the police are only allowed 24 hours, possibly 36 hours. When they arrest someone, they have to charge someone within the 24-hour window, or 36. Maybe at a stretch, if they talk with a judge, 48. If it's terrorism related, then they can have weeks and weeks and weeks. So I was fully watching the case thinking, well, they've only got 24 hours. Are they going to charge someone? 25, 26 hours later, they still haven't charged anyone. They've just arrested one or two people. And there's a very important word that they've missed from the second male that's been arrested. It's the word white. So I don't know whether it's the news sources, or whether it's the news channels, or whether it's just being handed to them. And journalists are lazy. They're just press release rewriters. That's all journalists are nowadays. They don't do any work. Don't be silly. They're not even proper journalists. They're not in the pub all day. I mean, they're probably teetotal. How bad is journalism now when journalists are teetotal? And Neil says police have until lunchtime tomorrow to question him. So it's 36 hours, between 24 and 36 hours. But ordinarily, if they've got a cut and dried case, in general terms, if they've got a cut and dried case, then they'll have somebody in and they'll have them charged within a few hours, because then they'll start gathering the evidence, they'll start doing the interviews, they'll get all the witness statements together. So I was just sitting and observing, knowing that the standard operating protocol, is that it? SOP, standard operating protocol. That they would adhere to what they had to adhere to. And I've said to you before, in general terms, the police, their only job is to gather evidence. That's all their job is, just to investigate, gather the evidence, then pass it to the CPS, the Crown Prosecution Service, which, well, Sir Keir Starmer was Director of Public Prosecutions, so he knows his way around a case. Alan Little, that's a very good point. They may have taken him to hospital and the detention clock will stop. Whilst he's in hospital, yes. But we were told that a male had been taken to a police station. And if it's the guy on the ground, and I don't think this would interfere with anything in law, simply because that video and pictures of the male that was on the ground with the police officers looked like he had blood on his hands, and so we're not sure. But subsequent to that, there 40 years in radio and the media, telly, radio, newspapers, magazines. So I have contacts, and I have people that contact me via here to tell me things. And I can't, and I know this is like, I'm teasing you, but I don't mean to do that. What I mean to tell you is that I have information at my disposal, and the sources are impeccable. That's as far as I will go with that. But my sources are impeccable, and I trust these sources with my life. But Neil Cunningham says, to kind of corroborate what Alan was asking, he hasn't been to hospital, straight into custody. So, according to Merseyside Police, and they are the source for this that I'm about to tell you, and that's why I've said I will look at Evening Talker 69 and all you utter wrong-uns of the Kirk. We're just getting to the interesting bit. So Merseyside Police state that the vehicle tailgated an ambulance who was going into the area, the cordon, to treat someone who was having a heart attack. So the ambulance had to be let in, and the car tailgated the ambulance. That's from Merseyside Police. So the vehicle was able to follow the ambulance after a roadblock was temporarily lifted to treat a member of the public. And the reportage is suggesting that it had been a heart attack, and that's why the ambulance had been let in. There are still 11 people in hospital. So on the one hand, some news outlets are saying 27 injured. Well, let's be clear about this. 27 hospitalised. Actually, 48. Some people are saying 50. Some news outlets are saying 50. But 48 were also injured. I said to you on the live last night, as we were getting the sources and the information as it was coming in, they would call them walking wounded. They would call some of the injuries injuries that would be life-changing, and some injuries that would be life-threatening. They've not used that language, life-altering or life-threatening. None of the news outlets and Merseyside Police have not used that language. So that should give us some succor. That should give us some comfort that hopefully the injuries are not too severe and they will recover quickly. I'm not sure Liverpool will recover as quickly, because Liverpool, the city, the fans, the football club have been traumatised by this. But there are still 11 people in hospital. As I say, or what I will say is, this story is not over. Make of that what you will. But I am telling you, by the things that I'm being told, and this is just in general terms, I'm not necessarily talking about this specific event, but I believe that this story isn't over. I think at this point, calm and wise heads should prevail, because considering what we've been through in the last 5 years, since March 2020, we're now 5 and a bit years down the line, but still our responses rather than reactions to anything like this is different because of what we've been through in the last 5 years. How we've seen loved ones and relatives die needlessly because of certain things. In my view, the jibber jabber, and the data and the numbers back that opinion up. But it's 5 years. Things have been weird for 5 years, and now we need to have calm heads. Wise heads must prevail. As I say, sub judice is about to kick in. It could be by tomorrow lunchtime, but they're going to have to, at the point where they will charge someone, it'll be interesting to see how many people they charge and if all the charges go to one individual, because that's just clear. And I think at this point, Merseyside police are definitely, by what they were saying last night, that they were releasing to the media. And regular people here, nuts and bolts, smash the like button. Thank you. Good to see you, nuts and bolts. The people that watch this channel regularly know that I will say so much, or I will be quite obtuse about things, so I can refer a month or 2 or 3 or 4 down the line and say, look, that's what I was trying to say there. And I always leave these lives up as an historical record. But I believe that Merseyside police last night were responding to and trying to get people to be calm and wise and not to have things inflamed on social media. Because we all know that Lucy Connolly shouldn't be in jail. There's Wayne Rourke, who was jailed for 3 years. We have had others, very sadly, die in jail who took their own lives. And yet we can have rapists get 180 hours community service. So we know that there is a nefarious evil at the centre of all this. I don't need to give you names. I don't need to go any further or wax lyrical about it. You know. And Lucy Connolly shouldn't be in jail. Absolutely not. In my view, neither should Wayne Rourke. No one should be in jail for posting something on social media, because that is not free speech. And we have our Prime Minister, our revered Prime Minister, sitting in his comfortable chairs, especially in the Oval Office, with Mr. Creosote sitting next to him, going, oh yes, we have free speech in Great Britain. Yes, in our country we have free speech. I mean, J.D. Vance nearly burst his incontinence pants on camera, laughing at that clown. You and I know, there's no such thing as free speech. So that's why I adhere and will promote and promulgate the process of law. So unless charges are brought over the next 24 hours, arresting a person is fine, but charges need to be brought. And Merseyside police, in their concern, because remember, Merseyside police also looked after Southport, and they knew that we knew exactly what the gig was. We knew who it was. We knew everything. And then it comes out that, oh, I say, there's no. There was a little inquiry into it, and they found that there was no bloody right-wing thuggery in Southport. Right-wing thuggery didn't start the stuff that went on in Southport. No. It was parents responding to their own fears for their own children. And I will not let you forget this, that it was children that were murdered in Southport. And yet, what's the first rule of governance and government? Protect the people. My hairy arse. So now we've got Yvette Cooper. I'm going to be the next Prime Minister. Hello, my name's Yvette. I'm going to be the next Prime Minister. Hello, you can get 11 to 1 on me. I'm going to be the next Prime Minister. We're going to get rid of that fatuous twat that's sitting in number 2. Oh, sorry, did I say that out loud? Sorry. Well, I'm here in Liverpool. You know what's going to happen tomorrow, don't you? He's going to pitch up. Wonder what kind of car he's going to turn up in. Ford Escort. Now, I have to say that a male has been arrested on attempt murder, drug driving, and dangerous driving. Arrested. Not charged, arrested at this point. The cops have another 24 hours, give or take, and then they have to charge or the person or persons, because it's not clear whether there's 1 or 2 people. They should be released. Now, according to the medics, most injuries are limb injuries and not life-threatening, thank goodness. So as I say, they will use the language of life-altering, life-changing, or life-threatening. And thankfully, the medics that are treating the injured parties are saying most injuries are limb injuries and not life-threatening. I mean, that's bad enough in its own sense, but I'm sure you'll agree, thankful that there's been no fatalities as of yet, and that people can regain their lives, albeit having been faced a great trauma. So, because of the process of law, sub judice, I can't necessarily speculate. I'm not going to do that at all. I can't speculate. But as ICU says, it's all very sad. And you know, the reason why people react this way rather than respond, it's because of the way we were treated as a collective by the government, by the people that we are entrusting them to lead us in a way that is appropriate and proportionate. But we knew with Southport, A, there was a rabbit away, and B, we were being told. And then we were all right-wing thugs. And now there's been this inquiry, and they found that there was no right-wing thuggery at all in any of the riots straight after Southport. And that wasn't front page news? Of course it wasn't. They buried it. They have a communications team that deal with this. I'm not talking about the 77th, although they do look at stuff online. So they have people that monitor stuff. Neil Cunningham saying, one of the seriously injured is being treated at the Royal Liverpool Hospital, and the youngster is in Alderhay Hospital. Thank you, Neil. Thank you for your excellent reportage. Just keeping across it. Les Griffith says, the injustice we see in sentencing is coordinated throughout the West. Yes, it is. That's why, Les, and I am going to mention this at some point this evening when I get to it, that you've got to keep an eye on Australia and you've got to keep an eye on Canada. Bugger me. Have a guess who's in Canada landed there today? I mean, is it me or is Camilla not looking very well? Charlie, you dirty old dog, what have you been doing to Camilla on that plane? Not sure how long it took him to get across to Canada, but it'll have been his private flight. Hang on, where's Aiden? Gene Psychic, hello. Gene says, I'm from Liverpool, no right wing in Liverpool. I know, Gene, I know. I mean, it's redder than red. My dad, who some people said was a bloody communist, he went across and stood shoulder to shoulder with the Liverpool dock workers when they went on strike. Bit of a boy, my dad. An arse, a complete arse to me, his son, but to anybody that was part of a union, oh, bloody hell, he was there straight away. Gene Psychic, absolutely. They've picked on the wrong city. Liverpool won't let this drop. They won't. Look at Hillsborough, quite rightly. The 95 fought for decades. Never. The tenacity of Liverpool is boundless. Southport's a bit more genteel because It's where any of the Scousers, the Scousers that come into money, they either go across to the Wirral or they go up to Southport, and Southport was much more genteel. So I would suggest to you this evening that what we are witnessing is all in the language. It's the way they're saying things, and it's the real fine line. Jean's from Seaforth. Nice, Jean. It's all in the language, because that's how I've mentioned doublespeak to you before, political doublespeak, where they'll say one thing and it means another. Professional politicians are very good at that, but and when you get to the upper echelons, the senior management team of a police force like Merseyside Police, they're all politicians. They would never go out rolling around on the ground and arrest some grunt. There are, I've been told by close friends, that it used to be thus in Police Scotland, or Lothian Borders and then Police Scotland, where they would get the seniors out. Right, you're going out for a night shift on a Friday night in Glasgow. Oh, are you sure? Oh, yes. You've had enough, man. You can have some time back in the loo, and we'll pay you double time. But you can be a desk jockey for 4 days. Then Friday night you're ganning out, and you're going to go rolling around the ground with the wrong uns. It soon gave them a different perspective, and I know that politicians go to tragic scenes. But what is Yvette Cooper doing there? What is she doing in Liverpool? I'm really confused again. It doesn't need a politician to go there. We know a crime has been committed. We know someone's been arrested. Then kindly just, how do we shite? Just let us get on with things. We don't need anybody going there with some sour face and kind of nodding or laying flowers if it was Southport, the pair of them. As they have a saying in Scotland, the High Hedians turned up with flowers. And Yvette Cooper, what's she doing there? You can't make this shit up. I'm not. So I believe that if we look at what they are saying and how they are saying it and when they are saying it, look, people don't tell you who they are. They show you who they are. If you look at the politicians, what happened around Southport, they just completely showed us who they are. We know they're evil. We know they're the Labour Party. We know that they are professional politicians who don't like being caught out with anything. And I don't mean out, just out. And I've not mentioned any names or either sex. There's Griffiths, you cynical old tart. She went to Liverpool for a photo op to boost her leadership bid. Probably, but you can get 11 to 1. Where's Streeting? You can get 11 to 1 at the bookies for him being the next Prime Minister. Do you want me to make a prediction for you? Because that was the video I was going to make, and I'm just not getting any time because I'm doing all these lives and all this research. I'm going to go out on a limb. There are other YouTubers that are kind of saying, oh, he's done for, he's not going to last much longer. I'm going to tell you, and I'll give you my reasoning as to why Sir Keir Starmer will be gone during this summer from number 10 and from the prime ministerialship and from the leader of the Labour Party. Why do I say that? Because it's thus. If there's more stuff coming out about him, there's been allegations of cocaine use with Macron and Wirtz from Germany's Chancellor. That's what Hitler was. The bags of no, it was a tissue. Well, they definitely weren't wanking into that tissue, mate. Were they invading Poland on the train? Comfortable? Was it Colombian? So there's those allegations. I mean, there's Macron having a domestic on board his plane as the door opens, and then Mr. Macron smacks Mr. Macron in the face. And I don't know whether she was like, oh, for bloody hell, man, you've got that bloody Daz all over your nose. Daz? Don't you mean Gack, darling? No, Daz, man, it's washing powder. Or is it sherbet? Have you been having a sherbet dib-dab at the back of the plane while I was at the front? I'm on, Mount Jaro, I'm on Wegovy, I'm trying to lose a bit of weight, and you're having your licorice dipped in some sherbet dib dab at the back of the plane. You pervert. And did you not notice that, and I've got to give Paz 49 credit for this, because I was doom scrolling on X, and Paz is always on it. He's always on it. His content's fantastic. He spotted that the cabin crew, female, had her left shoulder, the jacket was a bit torn. Now, I'm not quite sure what kind of party they had on there. Maybe it was just the E numbers from the sherbet. Maybe it was just Mr. Macron having a quiet word in her shell, like, how dare you do that to my husband, you bitch. I mean, from the look of it, she's quite handy. I mean, even some of the hard-nosed. I doubt that Conor McGregor will take her on as his next opponent. But just can you imagine how weak? I've told you the French are surrender monkeys. I mean, when the Germans invaded France, it was pristine. I mean, Hitler went for a walk in the bloody Champs-Elysees and near the Eiffel Tower. And where were the French? They were at home, surrender monkeys. Oh, hello, Adolf. Yes. Would you like to go and see the? It's good for tourism. Would you like to go and see the Eiffel Tower? Surrender monkeys. No backbone. The French. And he's been slapped by his missus, Mister. Why didn't he turn round and say to her, "Don't you know who I am? I'm El Presidente." Hang on. Aidan Wellsmith, he said he had a bigger one. Oh, I say. Really? Size queen? Nothing better than a bit of sherbet dib dab, mind. So, oh, brilliant. Well, you know, I can be fooled. Somebody want to tell Paz that sometimes he comes and watches these live. But was it under high vis? The good news today, it's apart from Spurs winning the UEFA Cup or Europa League and Sunderland getting in the Premiership, Tommy Robinson is out. Not out, but out. And I did notice something. What was the first thing Tommy did when he got out of jail? Well, obviously, he did a piece to camera, was with a little interview. That don't really count. That was at the gates. That's a theatre, darling, theatre. So what was the first thing he did? Haircut and a shave. What was the second thing he did? Interview with Liam Tufts. What was the third thing he did? Begged folk to donate to his fighting fund. Hang on a second. Where have I seen that before? Somebody should have guided Tommy and said, at least wait 24 hours when you get out. Good enough getting the haircut and shave. And mind you, he was in solitary, so I don't think the guards, the screws, were going to give him a haircut and a shave. But it's good that Tommy's out. He should never have been there in the first place. But look, if you want my view on law in this country, there's no such thing. Because the wealthy buy their law. They buy everything. So if you think that justice is there for you to have when you need to have it, hide away and shite, man. It's only for rich men. It's a rich man's folly or rich woman's folly. Well, whatever. It's not there for you to get some kind of retribution. So as Tommy's now finding out, I do hope that he's been whisked out of the country. I do hope he goes to see his missus and his children, and he can have some comfort from seeing them. But if you look at the state of the nation, if you wish, if you look at the state of everything that's going on, we have a country on its knees. Now, if that's Sir Keir Starmer's preferred position, then so be it. But it's not mine. I'm not a serf to anyone. I don't get on my knees to anyone. They'll never break my spirit. Doesn't matter what they say or do. I've been doing this malarkey for 40 years. Paulie Gallieri makes an excellent point. There's no justice when paedophile Hugh Edwards is walking free. Now, in my view, because he was mucking about with teenagers. And do you know the BBC knew 13 years ago about Hugh Edwards? There was Stuff. I'm not going to go into it for legal reasons, but there was stuff. The BBC knew. And I've told you before, when there was the inquiry to Savile's time at the BBC, the inquiring judge found that Jimmy Savile had raped an 8-year-old girl on BBC property. Now, if you need me to say that to you again, the inquiry into Savile's time at the BBC and others, Rolf Harris, etc., 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 the inquiry found that Jimmy Savile raped an 8-year-old girl on BBC property. And what came out of the whole inquiry? Tony Blackburn had kissed a 16-year-old at some point in the 60s. I'll run that by you again, just in case you're not really getting this tonight. The BBC, out of the whole inquiry, Stuart Hall, Rolf Harris, Jimmy Savile, all deviant fuckers. What did they find? Tony Blackburn kissed a 16-year-old at some point in the 60s. Oh, you know the other stuff about Savile and Hall and Harris at the BBC and Glitter, Paul Gadd, very good friends with Jimmy Savile. Jim will fix it. He was on there more times than... And they picked on a national treasure, Tony Blackburn. But it worked. You didn't get it. You didn't work it out. You didn't work out that the BBC is absolutely bloody chock full of deviants. And even the kiddie fiddlers in the BBC, there's wife swapping and all kinds of serious stuff going on. I mean, there was that couple that were jailed from BBC Leicester. He used to go and hide in the trees while boys used to come and shag his missus. He used to watch from behind the trees, knocking one out while somebody else was diddling his missus. It's in the press. BBC Leicester. Wife swapping. So, the BBC, they are state broadcasters. They'll do as they're told. So you've got to play the game with the media, but thankfully, I told you, the Sun is running at, or was 2 years ago, running at a £50 million loss. And now Sky News, it's come out £70 million loss. They're just going to close them down because, do you know what? People have had enough. And I can tell by the comments that you make on these lives and the videos that I do that you literally are so brassed off, you're not having it anymore. And go woke, go broke. They can't. The businesses can't do anything about it because when you vote with your feet, it may take a little while, but if you vote with your feet, they've got nowhere to go. Look at Jaguar. They're going to go under because they wanted to go woke, and they were doing like effeminate cars, in my view. Now I'm a bloke, so I like my cars stylish. And Aidan has a very good point. We'll leave Jaguar where it is because it's, you know, it'll be whatever it's going to be. Gene, psychic, no more Kate Burley. Well, you say that, Gene. Blowjob Burley. Don't know why I said that. Aidan Welsmith says, Sky should have gone Sky Australia. Would have been very funny. Well, Sky Australia is really good because they've got like people that can see through the fog of war, and they talk about stuff that the audience wants to hear, that the audience wants to watch, not be lied to. Now, I'm not suggesting that Sky News lie, but I'm saying to you, in the 40 years I've been in the media, that the epithet was given to Sky, never wrong for long. So, in the words of the great Chinese philosopher, they're bollocks. You can't operate at £70 million deficit. You can't. So somebody's going to have a look at the balance sheets and go, nah, we're just going to throw good money after bad. So let's just close it down. Ray Norton says, Ben and Jerry's now gone woke. Well, I don't eat theirs. I'm a Haagen-Dazs kind of guy. I don't eat Ben and Jerry's. I mean, they sold it on, didn't they, to some, was it a big American conglomerate? I'm not sure. But either way, it's like whether it's beers or whether it's DIY stores or whether it's clothing stores, whatever it is, if these morons, and that's the only word that is apt for these people, these morons, they're not even clowns. Clowns are funny. Morons or moronic, they kind of go, oh, shall we embrace everyone? You can do what you want, mate. You can embrace anybody as long as it's within the legal bounds of the law. But just remember, like Doctor Who, and Doctor Who is the prime example. What did they do? The audience for Doctor Who is and has been for 50 odd years, nearly 60 years. It's been the white male. That's why they put a bit of eye candy in there, little Billy Piper and others, a bit of eye candy for the males going, oh, blimey, she's a... It's 7 and 8 year old. And then the Daleks will come on and scare the bejesus out of you. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've spent many an hour behind cushions and behind the sofa when the Daleks came on. Daleks were evil. Daleks, no, I don't want to. I'll have bad dreams. No. What do they do? They make Doctor Who a woman. I've never watched it since. I'm not the target audience, evidently. My boobs are not big enough. And then they've got some bloke, Feely Cunt or something. I mean, they tried to big it up saying they sacked him last weekend because of something he said about Eurovision. And they think, oh no, one can't speak against Eurovision. And yet, the viewing figures are tanking for Doctor Who. So they're going to have to, it's the old thespian line, they're going to rest it for a while. Well, I tell you what, Christopher Eccleston, who's a marvellous, fantastic actor, he was the one that revived it. And that's why everybody got on board. Before 10-inch Tennant, it was fantastic. The storylines were really clever. The acting was superb. Everything. But it's the BBC. It's media by committee. So what do? They just go, oh, we need to LGBTQ plus. We need to, have a broader audience. We need to bring in the youngsters. We need to do this and do that. When it's the white male that's the bloody core audience. So all these idiots at bloody the BBC and what's his face, T. Davis, shall we have a woman as Doctor Who? Oh, that's very clever. Wonderful. How utterly woke. Well, right, oh yeah, we've all switched it off. We're not watching. The Americans, who are even more brutal in Teleland than we are over here, because, it's Doctor Who's part of our heritage. Disney, they're saying the BBC audience is disappearing. So what are you going to do about it? No, it'll be fine. We're going woke. It's 2025. Don't worry. We'll be inclusive. But the audience are not watching it in America. They think it's a bit weird. Well, we're just box ticking. And Des Ashton says, box ticking with an extra helping of virtue signalling. Exactly. And the Americans don't get it. It's like the Americans don't get irony. They're not very funny, the Americans. Even if you do watch Friends. The Bottle says, but the government refused to see this wretched BBC closed down. Of course they won't. Why? Because they promulgate the government's propaganda. They are merely the propaganda arm of this government, any government. That's why successive political parties have just told the BBC to do what they need them to do. Otherwise, we're just going to pull your funding. And you've got people on 6 figures working, doing absolutely bugger all. And people are not going to go, oh, don't worry. No. There's integrity here. We're going to make things that will bring an audience. Yes, integrity. If the government says jump, the BBC says how high. Do you want to know why they've got BBC America? Do you want to know why they've got BBC Middle East? Do you want to know why they broadcast around the world, world service, so that other countries will get a view of this country that this government wants them to get? Not me and you going, oh, here, mate. No, you don't want to come across on the dinghies, man. It's shite here. It's utter shite. The country's on its knees. Here we go again. Country's on its knees, and what do we do? What do we do? Oh, we've heard it on the radio. World service. We're not coming to see you. No, your country's shite. Amalia makes a very good point. When Wogan departed, he went to utter shite. Bless him. That Gary O'Donoghue is on BBC News. Now, he's a strange looking bloke, says Neil Cunningham. Agreed. Well, BBC News is for ugly journalists. Have you not noticed? All the good-looking ones will either go to Sky or they'll go to ITV, Susanna Reid, or they'll, and they have, like, BBC Breakfast. Oi, 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 man. Jesus, I want to get up with a bit of lift in the morning. I want to be able to say, scored a goal, morning glory. Hang on, I better rephrase that. But, like, you look at, I mean, I have dear friends. There have to be certain passes for certain friends. My mate John will kill me. But I kind of look at some of them and it's like, is that Jabba the Hutt with lipstick? I think it might be. And isn't that bloke doing extracurricular work when the BBC says you can't? I mean, no, I can't say that. Les Griffiths, the streets of Mogadishu were in better nick than the UK's. I know, have you seen the bloody... and all the local councils get all this money to fill the potholes in. They don't fill the potholes in. No, don't be silly. They secrete the money elsewhere so they can spend it on other things, like expenses. Susanna Reid can hear herself think since Piers left GMB. That's right, Stuart. But ITV's not nailing GMB or Susanna Reid. Unfortunate phrase, Adrian. They are... right. We'll stop that. Full stop. Pause. I want to get into some really serious stuff, and you need to pay attention now, because I'm going to give you a lot of data, because at the moment, the world is having a wobble today. Donald Trump is a bit brassed off with Vladimir Putin in Russia. Vladimir Putin is massively pissed off with Ukraine and Sniffy Zelensky. Now, I have been telling you for weeks and weeks and weeks that Sniffy Zelensky, shall we go marching, chaps? He doesn't want the war to end. Because when the war ends, there are certain factions within his own country and his own army that, don't like him. And I'm being very understated there. So Vladimir Putin has all these drones attack a helicopter that he was in and nearly shot it down. And he's over the border, kind of on the Russian side from Ukraine. And somebody from within Ukraine tried to shoot down his helicopter. You can guarantee when he got back to St. Petersburg, he'll have been straight on the phone. Here, Donald, mate, stop that, put that down, take your hands off that. I want you to listen to this. I've just nearly had my chopper shot out the sky. What are you going to do about it? What do you mean, Vladimir? We're friends, darling. What do you mean? I thought you were the peace president. Well, I am. That's what I'm doing. I'm bringing peace to earth. Who do you think you are? Jesus in Christ. As Les says, how did they know his flight plan? I think they were just sitting there, shagging some goats in a field somewhere, and went, oh, look at that helicopter, shall we bring it down? Yeah, send some drones up there. Oh, my word. Is that Volodimir's? So, Rebel, poor Lorraine. Yeah, 30 weeks a year, 30 minutes. Hard work. Hang on. I need to go back to your comments in a moment, but I need I know that sometimes I'm facetious. I know that sometimes it's trying to put the jigsaw together. So what I'm going to say to you is this. Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of this country, is evil. Now, whether you already know that or not, listen up, because I'm going to tell you something. Months ago, these people are so evil. For karmic reasons, they have to tell you what they're going to do. You do know that, don't you? So if they tell you what they're going to do, then they won't get the karmic response, and they won't have to work it off, so to speak, over the next 3 or 4 or 5 generations. He told you they were going to put boots on the ground in Ukraine. And you thought, no, Donald's going to get into power in America. He's going to stop that. He's the peace president. And there is Sir Keir Starmer telling you and I he's going to put boots, the council of the unwilling, that's my phrase, not his. He wants to put boots on the ground in Ukraine. And everybody was, well, why would they want to do that? My immediate response is, oh, fantastic. Good to see your son going to Ukraine, Sir Keir, because he's 17-ish, coming up. He or nearly 18. I think you can be a squaddy at 17, an officer at 18. He can go into the officer class. It's only to be expected of a Prime Minister's son. He can become an officer, train as an officer, and then go and lead men in Ukraine. Isn't that right, Sir Keir? But then again, you keep your kids out of the media spotlight. Why would you do that when you would rather our children were slaughtered in Ukraine? Ukraine has lost over 500,000 of their young men. They are not going to recover from that unless they start bringing in dinghy divers from this country to have, whoopsie with their Ukrainian women on their dating sites. Ukraine's not going to turn this around. There's a generation disappeared. Over 500,000 of their young men. So who's going to have sex with their young women to have babies to support the Ukrainian need, shall we say? Well, we know. That's why they're wanting people to go and have boots on the ground. And Mr. Flip-Flop, he's decided he's everybody's friend. He's going to do it. And this is where we are in the world. We have the West, which is mainly America, and Donald Trump, America first. And then you have Ursula von der Leyen, bitch. She's just won some kind of award. So they're all meeting up. Her, Macron, with his hand mark across his face, and Sir Keir Starmer are all meeting up. I do hope it's not for a bit of Colombian. They're all meeting up, and they're going to have another council of the unwilling, and they're going to decide what they're going to do with Russia. Now, I can't work this out because Russia are communists, but they're making money, private money. So they're not communists, because communism is where every man is equal. This Russian version of communism is where more men are equal than others. But Europe, remember the Sweden, and this is all off the top of my head, Sweden told you that they wanted their kids conscripted. They told everybody, Sweden, the wider world, prepare for war. We've now got Poland and Romania and Ukraine. Ukraine's at war. What's Poland and Romania going to do about it? Are they preparing? We had Sir Keir Starmer, a bit like Liz Truss, who said a couple of years ago, as we headed into December, there's going to be power cuts, and everybody went, what do you mean? And all of a sudden, there wasn't power cuts. So either she got it wrong, the script was passed down from her puppet masters, the script was wrong, but Sir Keir Starmer's told us, he wants to give more money to Ukraine, he wants boots on the ground in Ukraine, he wants to fight Russia. Ursula von der Leyen wants to fight Russia, the communist European state the socialists, the Marxists in Europe. And we've signed up to become more European because that clown, who I'll guarantee you won't send his own kids to war or his own kids' boots on the ground in Ukraine, but he'll send your kids, your grandkids, because he doesn't give a flying about you. He doesn't. So long as he gets his freebies, and goes and sees Arsenal. So here's my prediction. Something is going to come out about Sir Keir Starmer. Do I know? You bet your sweet Bibby. I told you 2 years ago as we headed into the general election. Sir Keir Starmer, is he scaring you yet? And how wrong was I? Well, I'm telling you this. If one more thing comes out about Sir Keir Starmer, maybe Liverpool, might not, could be something else. Who would have thought that his favourite band was Fun Boy 3? Who knows? Or the Rent Boys. If one more thing comes out about Sir Keir Starmer, and who would have thought about stuff going on with him? He will be gone by the end of July. And I'll tell you for why. Sir Keir Starmer will be gone. Gone. Johnny Mathis song. Quite a good one. He will be gone. And Yvette Cooper, did I tell you I was going to be the next Prime Minister? Get 11 to 1 if you get a fiver on me. They're going to have to get rid of him because the whole country is turning against him. Not only are they turning against him, but the NEC, the National Executive Council of the Labour Party, know that unless they do something now, they're not going to get in for a second term. The Labour Party will be eviscerated. It will be no more. This parrot is dead. They won't be able to revive it. They know this now. That's why that clown, that moron, is U-turning like he's never U-turned before. So they're gonna give the elderly the winter fuel payment now. Why is that? Because you and I, the voters, have shown them in the local elections that we're going to get rid of them. And unless they start playing ball with us, a little bribery goes a long way. But they're going to turn around and stop all the stuff that they were going to do because they know they've gone too far too fast. Rachel Reeves, where's she? Probably going to up more taxes. She's going to take more out of our trouser pockets. So I will say that Sir Keir Starmer will be gone by the end of July. And why do I say the end of July? Because that's when this term finishes. This parliamentary term finishes. And what they will do, the NEC and the Labour Party, because you think he's running the Labour Party? Had a wee and shite, man. He's not. He's just the front man. Politics is the entertainment arm of the military-industrial complex. And Sir Keir Starmer is just having a jolly. He's just making as much money, as much hay, and getting as much coverage, getting his ugly fizzog in the media as he can. Where's Lady Victoria? Are they still married? Where's his kids? Still living at Lord Alley's? Or just doing his exams there? So we have a state here where the Labour Party, they know. They had all weekend after the local elections where you didn't see much of Keir Starmer. Absolutely not. Because the powers that rule him in this country, not in Davos, told him, mate, you need to get this sorted. Because as a political party, we're done for. It's bad enough the Tories are being done for. We could use them. They're useful idiots. But the Labour Party, 100 years old, the working man and woman's party, not anymore. They're done. They're finished. They're gone. So Keir Starmer needs to be gone by the end of July. And why the end of July? The end of the parliamentary term ends in July. And then they have the summer off. So whether it's Wes Streeting or whether it's Yvette Cooper. It's not going to be Tony Blair unless he steps in at a by-election and wins the by-election. As a Lord, he's not allowed to go into the Commons and sit in the Commons. The new leader of the Labour Party, because they won't be the Prime Minister whilst Parliament is not sitting, they come back in September and they go straight into the party event season. So the Labour Party's Blackpool get-together. It comes straight after the parliamentary term starts again in September. So the new Prime Minister, if there is going to be one, will then have the summer to get their team together, to get the new script together, to work out how they're going to work out how much money they can buy us off with. So they're going to bribe us, and then they'll get to the Labour Party conference in September. Sorry. I've been talking a lot tonight. Hang on. Sorry, Stuart. If anybody has crackling sound or it's not quite working for them, just refresh the page. No, the Bluetooth won't be on. I've not put it back on. I'm just saying that if you just refresh the page, you won't lose anything, and it hopefully will rejudge everything that you're watching. So I believe Starmer is done. He's finished. He's going to be gone by the end of July to allow the new parliamentary Labour Party leader to get their feet under the table, whether it's Streeting or Cooper, but it will allow them to get their feet under the table. And that's why Laura Kuntzberg asked Ginger Growler, do you want to be Prime Minister? And she went, no. Because she knows that if she said yes, well, she's never going to say yes. But if she's going to say yes, then the knives are out. If she says no, she'll stay where she is unless she has too many skeletons in her closet. And if that is so, they're going to have to get somebody who hasn't got as many skeletons, shall we say. So it's not her. Favourites, joint favourites, Wes Streeting, Yvette Cooper. One of them will be chosen over the summer. So they get to the Labour Party conference in Blackpool in September. Off we go. Knock, knock. Who's there? Sakia. Sakia who? Ah, well, that's politics. You've been away for 8 weeks. We've forgotten all about you. Bye. Let's see if it plays out like that. Because it looks like there's a lot of shit flying in the Labour Party. They're all after the local council elections. They know that we've had enough. That's why they're attacking Farage and Reform. Any which way, they will attack Farage and Reform, because it doesn't matter if there's some collateral damage where some of the backbenchers lose their seats. Don't care about that, so long as the party stays in power. The parasitical classes stay in power. That's all it's about. It really is that simple. You look at them. Don't believe a word a politician says. I've said to you a million times, how can you tell when a politician's lying? Their lips move. So don't believe a word that they're saying. And we're going, and it's getting to a tipping point where Europe wants to have war with Russia. What the does Ursula von der Leyen want to do with Russia? I have told you before that there are 6 countries now where the Rothschilds want the central bank of that country under their ownership. And I will tell you who they are. It's really simple. They've got Syria. You know that Syria's kicking off again. Why would Syria kick off again? You tell me. I'm not going to give you all the answers. So we've got North Korea, China, Russia, Venezuela, Hungary, Iran. I've missed them all. Hungary, Venezuela, Iran, North Korea, China, Russia, and Syria. Syria was the... So that's why these countries, because remember, we're all going to go digital. We're all going to go crypto. It's not far away. The Donald's setting it all up with Ripple and everybody. It's not far away. And you won't have a choice. I'm telling you. If grandma has got £1,000 stuffed under the bed, you're not going to be able to use it. It'll be worthless. There will be a transition time, but it's going to be worthless. They're going to make it digital. Tony Blair told you how evil he was. That's why he wants a digital identifier, because then he will control your money. The Rothschilds have got Syria. Venezuela's playing ball. Hungary is kind of playing ball. And you've got America having a word with Iran. And Israel kicking off against Iran. And then Russia. They need to get Putin gone out of Russia to get the central banks. China just wants stability. They don't want to kick off. They don't want to go to war. They just want stability because they know that if it kicks off, the Rothschilds will end up owning their central banks. That's the name of this game. It may take them another 20, 30, 40 years. They're almost at the finish line. They're almost over the finish line, and they don't want you to work out what their game is. So the next time you hear Donald Trump talking about Iran, or Benjamin Netanyahu talking about we're going to bomb those fuckers, or somebody else talking about Iran, supporting Iran or against Iran, it's because they're all actors. They're all being told what to say, and it's the Rothschilds pulling the strings. If they get Iran, there's only, North Korea, it's not really a biggie, but China and Russia get their central banks, get all their gold, all their physical gold, whilst everybody is converted to digital currencies. Ethereum, Bitcoin, XRP. Bitcoin's at its highest it's ever been over the last few days. So that is the game. It's the only game in town because it's rigged. Forget about Starmer, but they want to go. They want NATO to attack Russia because Russia has told NATO, and I know these are shifting sands, but it's easy to see when you know that there's just games being played here. So the West, seemingly, that's Europe, want NATO to defend Ukraine against Russia. So Germany's Chancellor Merkel has backed Ukraine's long-range missile strikes on Russia. Now that you've got the context, can you see what's going on? Germany's Chancellor Friedrich Merz has backed Ukrainian military strikes deep into Russian territory following his earlier commitment to supply Kiev with German long-range missiles. You know that we Brits had supplied Ukraine with long-range missiles? And there's Russia. Russia sent one of those ballistic missiles into Ukraine. The whole world went, what the f was that? It's a ballistic missile at Mach 4, mate. Now, if you want to put your son's boots on the ground in Ukraine, Sakia, just remember, the Russians don't bugger about in war. They had 25 million people dead in Second World War. We barely got across the 500,000 mark. Russia, 25 million. 12 million on the front. Why do you think Russians are mad? Why do you think they're as hard as nails? Because they've had to fight communism for one, and now they're just getting their heads above some kind of water, and Putin is buying them off with nice rail stations and clean cities, and you don't have to queue for bread anymore. The Russians, if they're coming fighting, kiss your derriere goodbye. And to do that, you've got to have 3 vertebrae removed. So Germany, Britain, France, and the US have removed all range restrictions for weapons delivered to Ukraine, Chancellor Friedrich Merz said yesterday. You getting it yet? I don't mean to scare you. I mean to inform you and entertain you to a certain amount. I'm sure World War III is not entertainment. But this is the evil that is sitting at the top, and there's Britain, France, Germany, America. It's the usual cabal. It's the 3 of them. They've been on the fucking Coca-Cola again. Right, lads? Should we start lobbing shit at Russia? It's all right. We'll just disappear off into the Med somewhere where it's nice and safe. Now, today's Tuesday. So Keir Starmer is going to meet Friedrich Merz in Aachen in Western Germany on Thursday, where EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen, bitch, is receiving the Charlemagne Prize. What's that? Is it another bag? Hey, look what I've won. It's not a bloody goldfish. I know, but look, it's still in the bag. France and the UK, the two instigators of a so-called coalition of the willing, have insisted that initial plan of deploying troops on the ground in Ukraine is still feasible. Have you got it yet? Your kids and your grandkids? Don't worry. They're cannon fodder. These people are evil. They don't care. There's the Donald trying to bring peace to the world, and there's Sakia Starmer and his Fun Boy 3 and his favourite dance group, the Rent Boys. He's, Pet Shop Boys. Freudian slip. It's about making money from arms sales. So politics. Now, politics is not about doing good for you, not doing good for our family, our community, or our country. It's about politicians making as much money, the Benjamins, the Greenbacks, the Moolah, as much as that as they can. And how do they do that? Backhanders from the military-industrial complex, from sending money abroad and having it returned laundered into their trouser pocket. You do not think that politicians are there for the greater good of this country. Here, mate, man. Just had a wee and shite. I know you know, because you've watched and listened to this channel for a long time. Seemingly, a lot of people don't dare say this. But you know something? The truth is the truth. And the truth is always defensible. Now, if you want to go down that particular rabbit hole, look at the United States Agency for International Development. It was a money laundering exercise. If you look at the money that went into Ukraine, even Sniffy has said, I mean, how many billions has he spent on marching powder? It's been known for years that Sniffy likes a toot. Years. And we're just having a bit of a giggle. Now, this will scare people. I hope it does. Because don't go back to your life tomorrow and go, oh, it's all right, I'll watch him again tonight, 8 o'clock, another live. Is he going to rant a bit? Is he going to give us some free Battenberg and altar wine? This is important. This is really, really important. And I know we have former military that watch this all the time. So the Kremlin has said, and I quote, the West lifting range limits on Ukrainian arms would be, and I quote this word directly, dangerous. That's out of the Kremlin. If these decisions have indeed been made, they are completely at odds with our aspirations for a political peace settlement. These are quite dangerous decisions if they have been made. Kremlin spokesperson, or spokesman, Dmitry Peskov, has told a Russian journalist. Now, Moscow had earlier warned that it would treat potential Ukrainian strikes on transport infrastructure using Taurus missiles as direct participation. What that is translated to, out of the Ruski into the English and into parlance for you, it means that if we give them missiles and they use those missiles against Russia, Russia will fight us. Or Germany, or France. And I've told you, France are a surrender monkeys, and the last twice we've had to fight Germany, we've kicked their arse. Now, the German Chief of Defence has ordered swift expansion of warfare capabilities. And I'm not making this up. So you're looking at Germany. Germany! The last time we had to sort them out, we sorted them. They had to chop off their country up and give it away. This guy called Carsten Brewer, I think he's the Chief of Defence. He's ordered the German military to be fully equipped with weapons and other material by 2029, a document seen by Reuters has shown. But Reuters was paid by the United States Agency for International Development. That's how Reuters stayed afloat, because the United States Agency for International Development was keeping those buggers afloat. So we've got MAGA, Mega, Mugger. They're all this drone attack on Putin a couple of days ago. Putin has said at Kiev, not Kyiv, Kiev. Trump's declared, "Oh, I don't like this at all," and he said today, "I know Vladimir, I know Putin, I like him. I've known him for a long time, but I don't like this at all." So it's even making the Donald nervous. And they're saying that conscripts in this country could be between the ages of 18 and 65. They can absolutely go and foxtrot Oscar. I'd rather saw my cock off with a blunt knife than go fight for some twat that is bringing this country to its knees. So the targeting of the Ukrainian attack was aided by US satellite, drones, and fixed-wing aircraft, and I quote again, aimed at gathering electronic intelligence and high-definition imagery. What? They wanted pictures of Vladimir Putin dancing with his missus in the nudie. Why high-definition imagery? Of what? So they were trying to transmit Russian targets and attack guidance data to Ukraine operators. So Britain, France, Germany, US were pooling their stuff together, were trying to get their intel together from Russia and then give it to the Ukrainians to go and bomb the shit out of Russia. We are within a hair's breadth here. You do know that, don't you? If you've got the Donald saying, "I don't like it at all," and he wants to be the peace president, you know that we are a hair's breadth away from this. And it's Ursula von der Leyen, and it's the World Economic Forum, and the Davos, and Sir Keir Starmer, and Slappy Macron, and Colombian marching powder Macron and Wirtz. They're all after this because that's how, look, the rich and the wealthy, we'll make it the wealthy rather than the rich, because wealth and rich is different. The wealthy, they want to get as much money together as quickly as possible to stay wealthy. That's why just before World War II, you had a clown of a king, Edward and Mrs. Simpson, go over and meet Hitler. Why did they go? Because they thought he was a nice guy and he put on a nice spread if you go and see him? No, they wanted the communists held. They wanted the communists held at the door. And it was going to be Hitler and the Third Reich that stopped the communists from eviscerating the royal families across Europe. That's why Charles the Weak is brown-nosing the West. He knows that the communists, the Marxists, the socialists, they might at one point, if the hordes are at the gate, you can't turn around like Marie Antoinette and say, "Let them eat cake." The hordes at the gate are going to come in and kill you. That's what the Russians did. The Ruskies did. The Bolsheviks. Jews mainly, the Bolsheviks, but the Bolsheviks did it all the same. Now, Russia responded to Trump's criticism of Putin saying, "Look, lads, take a breath." Quote, "There is emotional overload right now. Emotional overload. So people are getting a bit antsy. They're getting a bit nervy. And Trump saying, "I don't like this at all. I'm friends with Vladimir. I know Putin. I've known him a long time." And the Russians are saying, "Ooh, bit of emotional overload going on here." And the Russians say, "We are really grateful to the Americans and to President Trump personally for their assistance in organizing and launching this negotiation process." And Russian spokesperson Peskov, when asked about Trump's remarks, they're at it. North Korea has now come out, not out, obviously. Have you seen his haircut? Kim Jong-un. North Korea says US space shield is a nuclear war scenario. So the leaders, of which Trump is mates with, they're all kicking off. Putin, so Russia, North Korea. What did I tell you at the beginning when I started this? For your information. And it's important. there are certain countries that the Rothschilds want the central banks of, and they're not going to stop until they get them. It includes North Korea, Russia, and China sitting there in the background going, lads, how are you, man? Let's just, kiss and make up. Should we go and drink some really strong drink and go and chase some, well, we don't chase women in China, really. We limit them so they don't have sex often. But if you've got Kim Jong-un saying that the US space shield is a nuclear war scenario, North Korea's not buggering about. They've got the nukes, as has Pakistan and India. Oh, by the way, what happened to the war in Pakistan and India? I've told you before, they just kick off. They just call each other's names, slap each other, and then they back down for another 10, 15 years. Have you seen their army's shoes? They're not fighting men, they're dancers. So according to North Korea, the Golden Dome plan is a typical product of America first, the height of self-righteousness, arrogance, high-handed and arbitrary practice, and is an outer space nuclear war scenario. I'm sure Elon's not going to be best happy with that. He said today, we're all going to Mars. Can we go to Cadbury instead? Prefer their chocolate. Nicholas says, I look at the airplane slap different. It looks like a panicked wife trying to clean her nose, if you get my drift. I said earlier, Nicholas, I'm exactly with you. I think he's been on the gack and she's gone, oh, fucking. She didn't wipe it on her jacket as she came down the bloody, Emil, man. Bloody snotty. Why have you not got a hanky? I've got green stuff all over my fingers. Must be Kermit the Frog. So they're kicking off threats, because they all believe their own hype. It's only the Vladimir doesn't want to go to war. He doesn't. And the Chinese just want stability because they win economically by everything being stable. They just buy up everybody's debt and then they'll call it in. I mean, the Earth is like hundreds of trillions of dollars in debt. Who the bloody hell are we in debt to? Mars? And if you want an update on Gaza, we've got a situation where the IDF have said categorically that they want to capture 75% of the Gaza Strip. Look, lads, here, you and your hype, you and your PR. I told everyone via video and consistently on these lives that what Israel is after is the Ben Gurion Canal and the oil and gas under the East Mediterranean and under the Gaza Strip. So they went straight into Gaza, flattened it, halfway down, built the road that seemingly was for the aid from the port that the Americans spent $300 million on to get the aid into Gaza and down to the little Gazans in South Gaza. Not the Palestinians. Told you before. Remember little Yasser Arafat? PLO leader, Palestinian Liberation Organization, that was given billions and billions and billions of American dollars because America could afford it. So they gave it all to little Yasser. So it was for the benefit of his people. Where did the fucking money go? I'll tell you. Swiss bank accounts. And all the Swiss bank accounts details were in little Yasser's head. Didn't go to his Gazans or Palestinians, whatever you want to call them. Didn't go there. And all these protesters, oh, I've got a Palestinian flag. What the fuck were you doing in the 70s when Yasser Arafat was spunking all the billions of dollars that were meant for his people and he was putting it into his personal bank accounts? And when he died, suddenly, what do you think they couldn't do? They couldn't access all the billions of the dollars that the Americans gave the PLO because Yasser had put them in his bank account and the Swiss went, no, you can't get in. So all these clowns that walk around going, Palestine, Palestine. Mate, where were you? 50 years ago, you were nowhere because you have no clue about what goes on in the world. You have no clue that some of the leaders are abjectly evil, including the Palestinian leaders. Fuck me sideways. Most of the current Gazan leaders are in Saudi, Qatar, with their billions. Yasser, His are still in the Swiss bank accounts. Nobody can get to it. All these nutters. Oh, well, it's a course celeb, so that's what I'll do. I'll just, I'll rattle me tins and I'll wave me flag and I'll just foxtrot Oscar, mate. You have no clue about this world. You have no clue about doing your research. You have no clue about protests for Palestine. Go off. You do know that Hamas is a product of Israel, don't you? Should we go down that particular rabbit hole? Israel would be nothing without Hamas. So the IDF coming out, we want to capture 75% of the Gaza Strip in 2 months in a new offensive against Hamas. It is absolutely, abjectly offensive. Death of children. I said to you yesterday in Liverpool, death of children, no. Just leave the kids alone. But I've made this prediction before. This is 2 years ago. I told you about the Ben Gurion Canal. Everybody's forgotten about it because I stopped mentioning it because I gave you all the information. Don't have to repeat myself. That's just peas. Might be onion, actually. And what they're doing is they're putting David Beckham in the newspapers. Double page spreads. Every bloody day. That man is vacuous, superficial shite, in my view. What's he doing? Absolutely nothing. Comes out, according to AI, that he was one of the crappiest footballers in the world ever. Didn't have speed. Had a good engine, in my view. Didn't have the speed. But every fucking day, it's his son. He's been fucking married. It's every fucking family in this country, up and down, communities, streets, villages, everywhere. You bring your kids up and you hope that you give them enough nous to be able to deal with life or the challenges that will come their way in life. And they're talking about little Brooklyn, just, he's backing his wife. I'll tell you for why. And forgive me for being crude. He's getting his cock sucked. And the newspapers are saying, oh, Victoria and David are so upset. Oh, man, it's not about them. This is a young man trying to find his way in life. And then there's little Cruz saying, oh, we love you, mummy and daddy. We're so pleased that you're our mummy and daddy. Yeah, take the money away and then see if he wants to write that in fucking social media again. Always all about the Benjamin. Some people saying that Beckham's worth 400 million. Good on him. Not bad for a footballer. Wanted to be Bobby Charlton. Should have had his head shaved with a comb over. But every day I'm sick and tired of reading this bullshit. He's a weft puppet and nobody's getting it. I mean, it's almost like I'm screaming into space and nobody can hear you. I'm losing my mind. Because I see this vacuous, superficial shite in the press, think, oh, well, there you go. Yeah, Gene, psychic. Seemingly a pig's orgasm lasts between 11 minutes and 40 minutes. How long was she on? Mrs. Beckham is the new Yoko, a useless appendage. Well, I will give the Beckhams this. They're very good at PR. Very good. But who is deciding in the mainstream media that they are worthy? There's no new angles to the story. Boy meets girl. Boy marries girl. Boy decides that girl's family worth billions is worth more than his family. Just my take, my view. I'm allowed my opinion. So he decides to bugger off to America. And then the Hartles get involved, saying to them, well, we had similar problems with our family, so we had to have, they don't like calling it Brexit, we just had to feck off to Canada. And there's these gobshites in the press saying, David and Beckham, David and Victoria are so upset that Brooklyn is siding with his wife. Are these two clowns mad? Have they been sniffing the barmaid's apron? What the bloody hell are they on? This is a kid that's decided this is his life. He wants to live his life however he wants to live it, making a cheese toastie or three for people. He's in love with his wife. Let him be, and fuck off with his reportage in the daily newspapers, because it's shit. It is literally mind-numbing. And I get it, the WEF are probably putting a little oar in saying, oh, David, would you like some more coverage? Yes, it's keeping the bad news out of the newspapers. We'd be ever so grateful. Thank you. Would you like another award, David? So, should we get to Iran? Just to kind of fill in this jigsaw for you, because it's a very important one so far tonight. And please, watch this live again, because I know I've thrown a lot of information at you so far this evening. Iran is threatening a strike on Israel as the US talks hang in the balance, is the term that they're using. So Major General Musavi, Commander-in-Chief of Iran's army, he thinks Smith's probably a funny second name, said on Monday that Tehran is fully ready for another aerial strike, calling it a justified response to perceived Israeli aggression. Rothschilds, Jews, Israel, wanting Iran's central bank. Can you see how that works? Now, this Major General has used the code name True Promise. Oh, you smooth-talking bar steward. To describe Iran's direct attacks, echoing terminology previously employed during prior strikes. They're all postulating. They're all like, right, you want to fight in the playground after we finish this lesson. Me and you, bring your mates. Don't care if you've got nuclear weapons, bring your mates. We'll have a fight in the schoolyard. Me and you. Yeah, Netanyahu, fat old tart, he's not going to be able to move very quickly. So we'll send one of our best, you send one of your best, and we'll have a fight. And then Kim Jong-un says, here, don't be buggering about in space, man. That's Elon Musk. Don't be buggering about in space, man. We've got nuclear war. It's going to be nuclear war. And then the Donald is saying, lads, man, I've got sweets and I've got drinks. If we meet up, I'll give you some Kit Kat biscuits. I'll give you 4 fingers. You and. Don't, Adrian. Nearly got myself into trouble. So I'll bring all the goodies. I'll bring Melania. She'll distract you. Have you seen her in her underwear? So he's trying to broker peace. They're all trying to fight. They're all trying to make more money. They're all buying arms and giving arms and selling arms and buying arms from the military-industrial complex. And we're sitting there going, right, lads, come on, who's gonna start first? Israel, Netanyahu, we know that you've got to be a war prime minister. You've got to stay a war prime minister, because the minute you stop being a war prime minister, you're going straight into fucking court, because your people don't even like you. So you're going to have a fight with Iran. You have a fight with Iran, and we'll give you... how many billions of dollars did we give you free gratis? 110? Right, have you got any left? Yeah, a little bit. Good. So we're going to sell you these bombs and missiles. Send them over to Iran. Iran have got not very much, so we'll sell some to Iran. And yeah, what do we do? Right, Joe Biden, yeah, he gave Iran $6 billion to let some hostages go from Iran. So what's the first thing Iran does? Buys more missiles with the $6 billion that Biden gave them for some of their hostages to be released. It's all... A finger of fudge is just enough to give your kids a treat, Soul Rebel. Ask Jeffrey Epstein. So there's all this going on. There's all this warmongering and saber-rattling and postulating. And David Beckham's in the papers, distracting you. And then there's Virgin Island on Channel 4. The world that I am viewing, seemingly, there's this was in the papers today. The papers is just, it's degenerating into frivolity. And I read them every day. And I think, where's the weighty news here? Where's the insight? Where's the detail? Where's the data, the reportage that I can look at and consume and then work out what's going on in the world? So there's Virgin Island on Channel 4, where virgins seemingly are having their wicked way with complete strangers. Genuinely, they have these people that are called I don't know, but basically they have sex with strangers, and that's not seemingly that's a thing. That's like psychology. It's a thing. And this one woman is having sex with men and women, 3 or 4 of the virgins on the Virgin Island. And I'm like, where's the principles and the values and the morals? It's 2025. I get it. I know you're all bloody mad. You were locked down 5 years ago. That's why you've all gone a bit unnecessary. And then there's an Australian girl comes out, pun intended, as you will see. She comes out and says, well, I've had sex with 583 men in 6 hours. So I've got me calculated, and she's proud of this, obviously telling her mother. I try to work it out. It's 30 seconds each-ish, with a few toilet breaks if she needs them. 30 seconds each. Jesus, how did they fill that? With a cigarette afterwards? So you've got Bonnie Blue and you've got Lily Phillips, who's pregnant, who's not going to be doing much of that unless she live streams her birth of her child. And Bonnie Blue, who was arrested a couple of days ago, and people are trying to make it like some moral indignation. Oh, she's been arrested. We don't care. We literally don't care. And then this Australian girl has obviously gone, oh, I've had me wick away with a few. I mean, how desperate are these men to go and dance with, in my view, filth? Now, call me naive and old-fashioned, but, you know, I get what goes on between 2 consenting adults is what goes on between 2 consenting adults. So she's trying to get the money, the kind of money that the previous 2, Lily Phillips and Bonnie Blue, were making. Bonnie Blue's made millions. Out of what? OnlyFans subscriptions. I see you, says, I thought the fluffer was a hairdresser. Nice, that is proper funny tonight. Galactus says the arrest was fake. I thought it was. But if it was a publicity stunt, to what end? Was it like meant to be front page news of the dailies? Bonnie Blue's been arrested. What for? I mean, there was Lily Phillips, had like baking soda all over her face. A dear friend's baking soda all over her face. And then went out for a walk in London, thinking it was clever. I mean, is that something we're going to put on the generation game when it comes back in 2026? It's a new game. Nikki Watson says it's bottom of the barrel. I agree, Nikki. I mean, I know that I may come across as some kind of self-righteous, but it's just Paulie Galtieri, beautifully written. Bonnie Blue is a walking STD. I can't. And I know, Galactus, that she's trying to keep her profile in the press, but has she not got any pride? Has she not got... Am I sounding like my granddad? Like my dad? Is it? Because we've all done mad stuff in our youth. Hands up. We've all done mad stuff. But this is just madder than mad. It's even madder than the maddest person in the village called We're Completely Mad. But there are youth around that will go and do this. They'll go and dance with her. And then say the mates, oh, I shagged Bonnie Blue. How long for? 17 seconds. Cool, blimey, it lasted that long. Where's Des Ashton? The lot set in with 24-hour news channels. It all turned to opinions and gotcha sound bites. That's why Sky is buggered. Technical term. Gene Psychic says, I'm sure my very soon-to-be ex-husband would have a go. He scrapes the barrel, seemingly that's why I'm divorcing, apart from the abusing and controlling in my own flat now. Oh, Gene, I'm so sorry to hear that. But I don't... if you look at everything we've talked about tonight, whether it's the situation in Liverpool and what we're getting as truth, whether it's the state of the world, and I'm so glad that a lot of people that watch this channel and that I interact with and in the comments, after 40 years, Gene, Terry Wookford says, no pride, no dignity. Some people will do anything for a headline. Remember the girl on Big Brother and the wine bottle? Kinga. I do. She denied it, of course, but it was on the telly. Everybody saw it. Marriage material, evidently. It's a weird world that we're living in the moment. It seems very fractious. It seems that it seems to be one step forward, two steps back. It seems that some of us had our hope in Donald sorting all the corruption out, sorting the evil left wing. And remember, this is from a man that was a card-carrying member of the Labour Party, Sunderland Labour Party, for many years. And I look at it now and think, that's not the party that I was a member of. It just doesn't fit anymore. It's weird. And then you look at Camel Toe in America, the left wing, Joe Biden. I mean, what the FBI did and what they hid from everyone around Joe Biden and his mental state and his health state, there's going to be a lot of FBI going to jail. And you just think, I don't know whether you believe in truth or integrity or but hopefully he's gone, Gene. Now that you're in a clear space, blue water, you can now live your life. But 40 years, wow. Vixtech says, look, Adrian, the world has always been weird, but now it's on blast via the internet. Yeah, it's 24/7. It's literally every minute of every hour of every day. And we have the situation in Liverpool. We had the situation in Southport. We have a situation where innocents are being hurt. I don't know whether it's the gaming. I mean, they were talking about this, wasn't it? Hetty. She was kind of the front of the mums, and she was all the records had to have labels on, parents beware or something. And all the record industry did was they put those stickers on all of the records because the kids thought, oh, do they swear? I mean, I go onto Spotify now doing my research for my radio show on a Saturday for Zetland FM, and I'll go to listen to something and it'll have a little E in the corner, meaning explicit. And I know that I can't warrant a swear word on commercial radio in this country because I would end up being chucked off. Technical term, before you start making your own gags up. So I don't listen to those. And invariably, I was looking at Glastonbury 2025 today and some of the artists, and we'll possibly talk about it tomorrow night. But it's, even with stuff that entertains us, it's weird. And yet it's where's all the telly that we used to sit down as a family to watch? Whether it be, and I know this is going to sound old and hackneyed, I don't mean to, because it's for the television executives to give us things that we can watch as a family. I would sit down with my grandparents or my parents. The worst thing in the world as a young guy in his teens, where if the wind blew in the right direction, it was as solid as a rock, if you know what I mean. They would end up with like Google Withers on Within These Walls. Remember Within These Walls? 2 women kissed in that. I was sitting there with my parents. I couldn't have been 13, 14. And it was like, wow, what's going on here? 2 women are kissing. No, man, no. Oh, shit, I'm in here with my parents. No. Well, I might have enjoyed it if my parents weren't here. Oh, no. And then my dad goes, it's about your time for bed. Off you go. I was like, oh, weird, Dad, man. I've just seen... And who came up with the name Googie Withers? I've had that when I jumped in some cold water. So we've got all this I mean, whether you want the Generation Game or Dad's Army or some of the BBC in its pomp and at its height used to be able to create wonderful entertainment. But we don't get that anymore. We get Virgin Island on Channel 4. BBC, don't watch it. I watch their BBC News. It's journalism for uglies. And now you've got, like when I was trying to negotiate with the EE, I said, look, there's three of us that live here, and we've got, all of our own phones, all our own computers, all of our own laptops, all of our own tablets. We need access with plenty of access. And they're like, oh yeah, we can do that. I said, well, you can haven't. My computer don't work. It cuts out every now and again when I'm in the middle of a live. Oh, sorry about that, sir. But if you kind of go back to, I think the halcyon days was sort of between the 60s and the 80s, for 20 years, a generation where we could watch stuff together, and it was inoffensive stuff. It was lovely stuff, and it was funny. But then all the wokerati got involved, all the left wing, right on, brother and sister. They got in and said, oh, those comedians, they're not funny anymore. They belong in the ark. They're dinosaurs. They're not funny. And I was thinking, actually, I think you'll find they are. It's going to feel like I've... Hang on a second, what's going on? So, come on, return, thank you. So I'm going to wrap things up tonight. We've got more tomorrow night from 8. Thank you for your support this evening. Thank you for your likes. Hopefully we can get to 200. Please smash the likes on your way out. Interesting. It's all kicking off in the comments. Right, I shall see you tomorrow night at 8. Next live is tomorrow night at 8. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, but most of all, your indulgence. Hopefully you've gotten some value and some interest out of the live this evening. I don't want to scare you. I don't want to worry you. We just need to observe what is going on. And we'll talk more tomorrow. I'll try and make it a little more entertaining and lighter tomorrow, because anytime we do anything that's weighty, that we're trying to put all of the dots together, the jigsaw pieces together, then I tend to make the following one a little lighter and not so ranty and so deep. But you never know. Tomorrow's another day. PMQs. Let's see what these clowns are up to. My name's Adrian Allen. Thank you for your indulgence this evening. Don't forget your Battenberg, and please don't forget, we'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, 8 p.m. Until then, be well, stay safe. See you tomorrow.